happy holidays from the Get At It Gaming podcast. I totally screwed that up, but it's okay. We're gonna keep it.
Did you almost say Get At Gaming Crew?
I did, but there's only two of us, so it's not really a crew.
The duo, Get At Gaming duos.
The duo. If you are listening to this during the holidays, we are pre-recording this. We take a break in the holidays. It is a long year of us not missing an episode, so we do these ones here. And this one's an interesting one. So this is our top 5 worst games of all time. This is a personal list from both of us. And this is like literally like throughout our lifetime, these games are absolutely the worst.
Yep.
Like they don't get any worse than this. If you enjoy this one, definitely hit us up on Facebook, hit us up on Twitter, tell us your worst games. Maybe yours are on there. Maybe you think these games are great. Looking at my list, most of these games are total trash, like absolute trash. So let's go ahead and jump in. So Alex, what is one? And these are no order; they're all bad.
Yeah.
What is one of your worst games of all time?
Oh man, there's so many choices, and I feel like I still have a cough. FYI, people, I'm still kind of sick, but not really sick. So I have a few PlayStation 2 games on here, so I think we should just start off with one of those just to get them over with. So
These games are
whoa, I almost dropped one. So my first game, one of my worst. Oh wow, this cover art got like messed up or something. Probably moving. Is Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories.
Okay, so this one is a shock to me. The fact that you're doing a Kingdom Hearts game.
Well, so here's the thing. Chain of Memories, the only good thing it has going for it is that it has cutscenes that are animated with voices and stuff. Chain of Memories was originally a Game Boy Advance game, and I have the complete unbox of that right here for Japan. Audio listeners, I have it here. Still coughing. But anyway, yeah, so the Game Boy Advance game, like, it does a lot of interesting things. You play as Sora, and it's basically kind of like a retelling of the first game, but it also has some different story beats and things like that. But it's the mechanics and like the fight mechanics are different. So you still run around a grid or whatever. You're running around 2D in the Game Boy Advance game, but you have cards, you have a deck. And so you have to build your own deck, and each attack does a different thing there. Each card is a different attack. So you have to basically have higher cards, but if you have higher numbered cards, then the cost for your deck is greater. So then you would have less cards in your deck overall. There's a lot of risk reward there. You need to have like potions, which like bring all your cards back from your deck, like in a boss fight or whatever, instead of just normal reloading. And when you normally reload, then some cards start to disappear if they got countered or something like that. Same thing with like heals and summons and all that. So, in my opinion, the very first Chain of Memories is not a bad game. Chain of Memories on the Game Boy Advance is revolutionary for like what it tries to do on a Game Boy Advance. It has FMVs from like it has an actual full motion video that is compressed, but like it looks like it's on the PS2 almost. It's like when the Game Boy Advance games are like you could watch like Shrek or something on Game Boy Advance way back when. Like it's similar like to like that. Where like they took down the frames, but then you can still see overall a 3D thing. So yeah, Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories I think is really good, but Chain of Memories, Chain of Memories for PS2 kind of felt like a cash grab a little bit. In a sense of like they just wanted to remake that game, which is fair. They wanted to give it cutscenes. They wanted to give it more explanation because everything matters in Kingdom Hearts now. So I guess that kind of makes sense there. So since everything was pretty much on um PS2 at the time, making that on PS2 helps those fans instead of just having something separated onto the Game Boy Advance. Later on, they didn't care because like games came out for DS and then for PSP, and then until recently, um, you had to have like 6 different consoles to play Kingdom Hearts, the whole series.
Yeah.
Um, and so yeah, Kingdom Hearts Rechain of Memories does the same thing with the mechanics of cards and all that. The only difference is that you were playing Kingdom Hearts 1, um, but you're in like a grid, like you're in like a open area, similar like Tales, or one of those types of games, Star Ocean, um, where you're just like in an area once you encounter an enemy. Um, and it's just not really that fun, to be honest. Like I like the story overall. I like certain things with Chain of Memories, but Rechain of Memories is not fun to me. Chain of Memories on the Game Boy Advance is fun because of how simple it is. So yeah, that's why that's on my list.
Well, I'm gonna. I remember that game. I remember how much I did not like it back then.
Yeah, and
And
it's on the 1.5 and like the 1.5, 2.5, and all that kind of stuff.
I remember when I rented it, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, it's Kingdom Hearts! It's more Kingdom Hearts!" And I was like, "Oh, this is not good at all."
Mm.
So this game here,
Actually,
this
wait,
game.
really quick.
Oh yeah,
I will say, so for here, it kind of felt like a cash grab because it got separate. It got released here separately. Like you had to buy this. I think it was like a $40 or $50 game. It
I
was
think it
not
was.
cheap. But in Japan, I don't have it around me actually. I think it's on my shelf back there. Um, Not this fake green screen shelf, but the shelf actually behind me. Um, the Final Mix version of Kingdom Hearts 2, so Final Mix Plus, came with this game included. So you got Final Mix Plus, the Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix, which in Japan all the Final Mixes have English dialogue and voice acting because their regular releases don't. They have Japanese voice acting. And then there's also extra stuff. So like if you play 1.5, 2.5, stuff like that, that is the final mix version of these games. And so yeah, so in Japan you got the final mix, but then you also got a bonus game. You got this Chain of Memories, which I feel like is what should have happened over here, honestly.
Right.
Because then it would justify the cost more. But no, they're just greedy and they just sold it to us separately. And yeah, I don't like this game. There are barely any redeeming factors to this game. Only because it's Kingdom Hearts is why I think it's worth it to watch the cutscenes. Sorry, continue.
Oh well, this one's a total winner as well. I don't own this one, so I remember a younger Ben with a lot more hair, and he had bought the Sega CD. He had it for a little while. I had Final Fight on there, which was fantastic on that console. And I said, I want like a really good scary game. So I drove an hour away from where I lived because where I lived didn't sell games at all. I drove to a Funko Land, which was an hour away. That's how old I am. And I bought Bram Stoker's Dracula on Sega CD. Let me tell you about how awful this game is. It's awful.
I've heard.
So
I've
it
seen.
had like scenes in there from the movie, which was crazy because back then, you know, everything was on VHS,
Mhm.
right? So wow, I'm watching like this on my video game console. Awful looking there. You had very little movement and you died really quick. You had a punch and a kick, and the kick was really low. Um, it was oh my god, it was awful. Uh, which is hilarious because when this movie came out, a fun little tidbit: where I lived was very religious, and They did not show this movie in the theaters. I had to drive an hour away to see it. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But this game is just awful. And it had that $50 price tag, but because you couldn't get it anywhere, they had it at $60, which this is back then, was a lot more money. We were used to paying $50 a game. So, but it was Sega CD. It was like the next greatest thing ever. I had this game for quite a while. I never finished it because it was just the difficulty was not fun. It was too difficult. Plus, you know, it just was hard to see stuff sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Sega Genesis was not the best, which I recently had got the Sega Genesis Mini 2 and trying to play some of those old Sega CD games. And I'm like, God, these are awful. Unless
Yeah.
any of the FMD games, like the ones like
Wing
Super
Commander.
Shark, that's not on there.
Oh, it's not.
But
Okay.
um, so Sewer Shark is on there. I think one of the zombie games is on there. I haven't gone through all of them yet. Yeah, this game was awful. It was just an awful game. I actually saw that episode of the Angry Video Name Nerd doing this game, and I'm like, yep, everything he's saying is completely true about how much of a turd this is. Awful. So, all right, Alex, what next do you have on your plate? Which before you start on a tidbit, Alex owns, I think, everything on his list.
Oh yeah.
I only own 3 of the 5.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, my next one, I'm just going to do this. So I'm not gonna do a PS2 game just yet, even though, like I said, I have 2 PS2 games still left over here. I'll leave the controversial one last. Let's say that. So let's take a look at this. Yeah, this is real. the sticker just looks kind of fake, to be honest, but I think it's just really worn. So I have, for video audio listeners, I guess I'm gonna be holding a cartridge, but it's yellow. So my green screen is like, what do I do with it? And so it just looks really weird. So if you are an avid Nintendo fan, you should know that there are maybe like 3 or 4, maybe 2, yellow cartridges for America, I should say. Because Donkey Kong Country 64 is one of them. It is not yellow in Japan. It is a gray cartridge in Japan. The other one is the one that I have here, which is Earthworm Jim 3D. Earthworm Jim 3D, with the talented voice actors such as Dan Castellaneta, and everyone else from the cartoon. This is it kind of feels like another sort of cash grab. Again, where this is based off the cartoon. Like, it has Dan Castellaneta voicing Earthworm Jim again. So from the old Kids WB Earthworm Jim cartoon. It has Psychro. It has Professor Monkey Forehead. It has Peter Puppy. It has all those characters, cows, what have you. And it's a third-person action adventure game, collectathon thing. And the camera is awful. It never works. The platforming is awful. The game doesn't really tell you what to do. There's sometimes random time limits, and you just can't play the game well. I never owned this game until, I want to say, a year ago, and that's because I actively was trying to search for this a bit. Just because I wanted to give it another chance. Like, I've heard, like, this is on people's list for like some of the worst N64 games, especially. And I wanted to see if it was just me being a dumb kid, like not knowing how to play a game, because I used to rent this a few times, even. Because like I loved Earthworm Jim as a kid. I loved playing Earthworm Jim on my Sega Game Gear. I loved playing it on Super Nintendo, Earthworm Jim 2. renting that stuff. I love watching the cartoon. I own the cartoon on DVD, like not even now. But um, yeah, I just want to see like, was I just a dumb kid and did I not understand it, or is it actually bad? And column A, column B. I think I was worse at these types of games as a kid, just because I didn't have the patience. I feel for really bad controls. Um, but also the game is just made horribly. This game, if you look at it on the little label here for audio listeners, I'm going to be showing it here. You can see who made that underneath Earthworm Jim. Oh, it's a little Rockstar right there. Rockstar made this
Oh,
game. So yeah, Rockstar made this horrible game, and I do not recommend anyone to play it unless you are a huge Earthworm Jim fan. It is fun to hear Dan Castellaneta doing the voices and stuff. But Homer Simpson himself voices Earthworm Jim. Yeah, it's not worth it. I paid. Let me see how much I paid. I'm gonna guess. I'm gonna say I paid $40 for this game. Let's see. Earthworm Jim. I paid $55 for this game.
wow.
This game is now worth, according to price charting, $76. So yeah, that's the thing. So if I ever want to sell it, I'll do that. But to be honest, I don't really sell many games. So even if I hate them, like all these games that I have here, I will probably still keep them just so I can have something to yell at. It's like the meme with Grandpa Simpson, Abe Simpson, where it says "Man yells at cloud," like in the newspaper. Like that's me. That's just me wanting to yell at something. So that's
I
why I
mean,
still keep these.
I can back him up on that. I have asked him to buy stuff from Alex before, and he says he is a true collector, uh, which is hilarious because Earthworm Jim for me was great. I had a Sega Genesis.
Yeah.
I love that game. So how can you take that format of that great game and it's well done, and then mess it up? Especially Rockstar. That's crazy.
So I think this game would have done better if it was a dual stick like PlayStation game. Um just because it's like the same thing with or it had more triggers or something. It's like
Right.
the same thing with Mega Man Legends. Like Mega Man 64 plays really awkwardly because it doesn't have a whole lot of features, but Mega Man Legends on the PS1 just feels a lot better. It may not have the best frame rate, but at least it feels better compared to the N64.
That's crazy. That's
So
crazy.
yeah.
So this this game here was a Christmas gift for me. My mom is a very artsy person, and she wanted me to do more art. So this would be Art Alive for the Sega Genesis.
Okay.
Okay, so the cool thing is you could draw things and then you can animate them, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was the big thing. Okay, well,
It's like Mario Paint.
yeah. So as a youngin in my 16 years of age, I think you can only draw so many male anatomy parts that don't come to life or not. So this game's boring. It is
Yeah.
completely boring. There's no pad for it. If there was, I didn't get it. I just got the straight game.
Okay.
So you're the controller, unlike Mario Paint where it had things.
Yeah.
Uh, this was just awful. And my mom was super excited because she's like, "You play video games all the time. I want you to do art. I want you to like do things that are not video game related." And I just didn't have the heart to tell her, like, "Oh, mom, this game's awful."
Yeah.
Uh, I think I played it once then because that same Christmas, I also got like what else did I get? I think I got one of the Sonics, maybe Sonic 2 at that point,
Mm-hmm.
and I got the Menacer, which was like their gun version of like the Super Scope.
Okay.
So yeah, that game got played once at the whole time I owned it. It wasn't as good as Mario Paint, but they were trying to be because at this point, Sega and Super Nintendo were literally at war.
Mm-hmm.
If you're ever wondering how bad it got, you need to watch It's called the Console Wars. It's a small miniseries. I think
There's
it's
a book as
on.
well. I have the book.
I think it's on Paramount. But
Yeah.
if you get to watch it, watch it. The war got vicious. I mean, it really was like, pulling hair and teeth and whatever, but it was bad. So um, they tried to do it. It didn't work out. That game was just awful.
Mm-hmm.
I almost collected for Sega Genesis again, and one of the bundles I was gonna buy had Art Alive, and I'm like, you know what? Maybe that's my sign not to collect anything more right now because this game is just
I
trash.
think what you need to do is revisit it. I think you should buy it, and I think you should stream it for everyone to see just how poor.
It'd be a quick ass stream because literally once you and they had some pre-done stuff you could do,
Mm-hmm.
obviously like Sonic but it wasn't even Sonic because I think it was Electronic Arts that did it,
Okay.
so there was no license there. No, it was Sega. I'm looking at it now. It
Okay.
just was,
So probably had like Alex Kidd and like stuff like that.
and you could do like the big thing was like the picture on the front of the kid that has like drawn fish, and then you could do something, and then it animates it, right? That never worked ever. It was just bad.
I mean, to be fair, I could never figure out how to animate on the Super Nintendo with Mario Paint, but I've seen the Homestar Runner people, like they have an old like video that they like scanned, and they made a Homestar Runner cartoon with Mario Paint. It's crazy what people can do.
That's a talent because but Mario Paint at least came with a mouse pad and a mouse.
Yep,
This did not.
I
At
love
least
Mario Paint.
I didn't get that version. I
Hmm.
literally got the game. My mom's like, she was excited. She bought me a video game because she was being hip and cool, part of the crowd. But then also she was like, he's into art and I'm into art. And this is a great bonding tool. And it was not a bonding tool whatsoever.
Yeah.
Sorry, mom.
All right. Well, I guess I will go next with mine. I'm gonna grab a PS2 game here. This game I absolutely despise. It is one of the worst games I have ever played. It has no. If I played it again, I might be a little better at it. I'm gonna be honest, but um, it's not forgiving. It's not fun, and there are a million of them. The game I'm talking about is Disgaea: Hour of Darkness for the PS2, the very first Disgaea game.
Oh, wow.
Disgaea is an Atlas game. Although the first one's an Atlas game, I think it's NIS now. I think NIS does it. Um, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's NIS now. But anyway, Disgaea was one of the first real tactics RPGs that I really played. Besides like Final Fantasy Tactics and stuff like that here or there, and I despise this game. Um, I do not think it's fun. I think there's way too many menus. If you die and like kill one of your minions or whatever, they're gone. They're just gone. So you have to make more. And so like if you're not good at the game, you just can't even play the game. Like, and that's the thing that I hate the most about these sort of games. Like, either give us some sort of easy mode, which there might have been, but like make a game playable in the sense of I don't like permadeath, which is one of the reasons why I never gravitated towards Fire Emblem until much later. And even then, when I did play a game with no permadeath, I felt like I was kind of cheating because like that's not how the game was designed.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I just don't like tactics games and or strategy RPG is what it says. The tagline on the back of this box for PS2 back in 2003: strategy RPGs are about to get a serious kick in the ass. That's what it says. Um, Comic Mischief and stuff like that. RPG Sim, it says rated T for teen. Um, yeah, I do not like this game. Um, there is some like interesting humor here or there. Like it's very anime, um, and there's certain good dialogues between like the two protagonists or against other antagonists. Like I remember the beginning, um, like the main protagonist, I forget his name, um, but he was like talking to someone and like they started like to give their it was like question mark question mark question mark for their name, and he was about to like say his name, and then the main character is like, you know what, I'm just gonna call you Mid Boss, and it's like, what, that's my name, and then it says now Mid Boss as his name. So like there's like quirky things like that like are funny and like are enjoyable, but if the main game itself is not enjoyable for me personally, like I no matter how good the story can be, I'm not going to play it. And there's a ton of these games. There's the Prinny games. There are what are they up to? Like Disgaea 7, Disgaea 6.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of them on Switch, on PS3, PS2, PS4, um, PSP for the Prinny games, the spin-offs. Yeah, this game series has been going on for quite a while, and I believe, like I said, it's NIS now who runs the publishing, because yeah, this says Atlas on this old one, and that's probably why I have it, because a long time ago I used to just collect things that just said Atlas on it, because I was like, well, Persona and like all these other things like didn't steer me the wrong way. So
What's that game worth right now, though? You don't want me asking.
Disgaea, I would assume not much. According to this sticker here from GameStop, I bought it for $17.99. Disgaea, I'm in the D's right now. $12. Yeah. I think it's because it's had re-releases and stuff like that. So yeah, it's only $12.
That's crazy. Yeah, I see those games all the time, and I'm like, maybe I should play this. And I'm looking at the back. I'm like, this seems all too complicated for me. So I
Yep.
think I think I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
Um, well, now we're into the games that I actually physically own.
All right.
This one here was one that was, I feel like, okay, so it's an NES game, and NES was notorious back in the day for, all you had to go with, unless you had Nintendo Power, which was later. In the early cycles, you had the picture on the front of the box, and then you had pictures in the back, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this one is for it's Dash Galaxy and the Alien Asylum. And for the non video viewers, I'm holding up a copy right now that I own
Is
this.
that Data East?
Yes, that's what cracks me up. So this is a Data East game. I bought this game day one. I had to have it. And I'm like on the front, I'm like, dude, that guy looks like Flash, looks like Flash Gordon. There's dinosaurs, there's monsters. This is gonna rock. And then you get to the game and you're like, this is not what I signed up for.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that. So yet again, it is a notorious Nintendo game of like, hey, we have really good artists and we're gonna make it look really good. So it's more of like a puzzle game where you're on a map or a level and you have to get a couple things specifically, and then that's what ends that level. But it's all on one screen like Bubble Bobble and Bomberman. But it's bad looking graphics. It's really bad touchy gameplay. Where if you jump from too high, you die. Uh, it was early on in the NES career, like lifetime, and so it was not done well, which is crazy because Data East at the time was doing awesome stuff like Bad Dudes and awesome games like that. Uh, this game's just like God, was it awful? Uh, and Sega was really not Sega, but NES was really bad about pretty art on the front with a couple little things in the back to make it look even better, and then that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And then that you judged your purchase on.
Yeah.
You know, uh, this game is just really bad, like on so many levels, and it's not just because of like the lies of that, but yeah, it's not a good game at all. And I had to add to the list because when I was looking at, and I own it, you know, but looking at my NES collection, I'm like, yeah, we should talk about this one. I almost put Friday the 13th, but I'm like, You know what? It's not a bad game. It's just
Very difficult.
it is. Like you literally have to draw yourself a map and understand like how I gotta get to these places. But
Mhm.
like fighting Jason isn't bad at all.
Yeah.
So I mean he's predictable in his movements.
Mhm.
So yeah, I had to throw that one in there.
All
Would,
right.
would you would you see my last game that I will talk about? You'd be like, oh yeah, I know that one.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess my next one here is a game that you probably enjoy. I know it's a game that our previous co-host Spencer enjoyed, and so
Is it
he'd
Sky?
be, huh?
Is it Skyrim?
No,
Oh, okay.
I wish I had that to pull that out here. Because honestly, yeah, that'd probably be on my list. But I wanted to pull things I actually owned. Um, this is another PS2 game. This is Dark Cloud.
Oh man, I did play that.
I hate Dark Cloud. I hate games that are difficult to be difficult. I hate how whenever you're running into a dungeon, especially in the beginning, it's very hard to do anything. Like I barely got far in this game when I was younger. Just because like it was just really hard to do anything. You had a water meter, like how thirsty you were, instead of like a hunger meter or whatever. So like you had to just go investigate in the cave right beside the city or the town or whatever. And you had a water meter that you had to go to, and then you also had to like fight enemies and stuff. And you could barely grind or anything on your own without having to go back to that water fountain or spring or whatever. And like there just wasn't really much progression there, and you couldn't really do anything in that early game unless you were just like memorize exactly what to do. And yeah, like I know people enjoy this game because there's a lot of cool like sim elements where like you can like position houses in like certain locations, like you're building towns, you're helping the townsfolk, you're doing all of these um different cool things. And then it's also like one of the first PS2 games. um but yeah, it's I again, like, yeah, I do not like this game. Real-time weather and daytime display system in it. As the time of day changes, everything in the environment changes, including interactions with NPCs, environmental elements, and other significant events. Um, yeah, supposedly there's a lot of over 50 plus hours of gameplay, over 60 minutes of cinema quality cutscenes because it's like such an early game. Um,
Oh
I
god.
personally prefer Dark Chronicle. Dark Chronicle, also known as Dark Cloud 2 here in America. That is more of a turn-based type RPG, instead of like a weird just adventure game that has sim elements, some sim building, some city elements. Um, yeah, I I haven't touched this game in quite a while. I just know like it is one of the games that I've owned for a while just because I don't know, I bought it and I tried it again. Or this might have been one of the games that I bought from my neighbor because that's how I got a few like Super Nintendo games back in the day. Um I bought games from him and because like he was getting rid of the games or something. So yeah, this might have been one of those. So yeah, this game is worth about $13. So not a whole lot, but because like it's re-released everywhere. I'm pretty sure it's on PS4 probably with trophies and all that kind of stuff. Like it's not a hard
It,
game to find, especially because it is a Sony game.
I think I have the top tier of the PlayStation Plus, and I'm pretty sure both of them are on there.
Yeah,
I think both Dark Cloud 1 and 2 are both on there.
yeah,
Um, when I worked at Blockbuster. That was like, mid early life of the PlayStation 2. Uh, and so I was like, I gotta rent this, and it was okay. The getting water got really old really quick, you
yeah.
know? And I know what they were trying to do, but yeah, no, it was not fun.
Yeah, and it also like is kind of um I don't know, Trojan horse a bit, I guess. Like it claims it's an RPG, it doesn't really feel RPG, uh, but also it's it looks like the art style and stuff reminds me of Eco or Shadow of the Colossus or something like that, and it's not that, and I think that's why I was mostly disappointed because like something like Eco or Shadow of the Colossus do a lot more and you can explore a lot more, um, and they don't have all these stupid design choices, and you can play and enjoy them as an early PS2 game. So yeah, that's why that's on my list. I mean, granted, again, it is an early PS2 game, but my list is my list, so I can do whatever I want, especially with my last one, which everyone's gonna hate me for. In fact, now I'm thinking about it, I wonder if I put this one I wonder if I put this one on like my top games at one point. I might have, but it's on this list now.
I remember the time where we were talking about our top games of the year, and I put the Grand Theft Auto,
Hmm.
whatever that one was, where they remastered all three of the, you know, Auto
Yeah,
3.
San Andreas and 3 and
And then
Vice
it
City.
came out like day one, and it was crap.
Yep.
It was broken beyond belief. So yeah, you'll get some crap, but I'm gonna get crap for this. And now this is not the version that I owned originally. And so this is an Xbox version, but I had the PlayStation 3. It is Resident Evil 6, and I'm holding up the 360 version.
I don't think you're gonna get crap. Everyone hates that game.
Okay, so my Resident Evil, so I played a little bit of 1 and 2 and 3, but not a lot. My break was 4. Played a ton of 4.
Hmm.
Finished it on the Wii, and then my best friend got Resident Evil 5, and he's like, "Oh my god, we could play this online, like together," which was a huge thing. You know,
Hmm.
I bought like a cheap headset, and it took 45 minutes to get everything working. But we got it working, and we played Resident Evil 5 all the way through. Loved it. The story was great. It was something different. And then 6 came along. I'm like, oh, buying a day one. Let's go. Pop it in, load it up, and I'm like, oh my god, did Paul W. Anderson direct this? Because it looks like his shit.
Hmm.
Uh, his wife wasn't in it, but yeah, I mean, it was like the movies. It was awful. Like bad story. The gameplay was not good coming off of 4 and 5. If you've noticed, they will never take this game and do like a full remaster to it ever.
No.
It's bad. Story is weird. Um, it's like they just totally went left field, and the controls were not very good at all.
That's the one with like 3 different characters you play as, right? So
I
yeah.
trying to do. They were trying to make something completely different. Um, but you know, it just did not do well. It I feel like Resident Evil has been one of those games where it's like we gotta do more, we gotta do more, we gotta do more.
Hmm.
If you look at the original Resident Evil and looking at the remasters of 2 and 3, keep it like that. Keep it basic.
Hmm.
Because that's what everyone wants. So uh this is on my list. I know I'm gonna get crap for it, but
I don't think so.
yeah, I totally hate that
I think
game.
you'll be fine, honestly. I think the vast majority hates that game, and then the Operation Raccoon City as well.
Oh god, those are awful. I
Um,
never played it, but I know my son owns it. I
yeah,
think they released those right after like 2 remastered come out or something.
they might have. I know Revelations for like the 3DS and stuff. People actually like those games on 3DS. Um,
Those are actually pretty good running on a 3DS. They
yeah,
were actually good.
and they got like re-released. I think like on PS4 or something like that at some point.
Yep.
They don't look the greatest, but like they look good enough because they were 3DS games originally. Um, But cool. Yeah, I don't think you're gonna get any crap for any of that, honestly. Um, now me on the other hand,
Oh, I'm kind of excited.
so I have a Super Nintendo game here that I'm holding. I'm holding it backwards so you don't see it. It even has like a little like uh rental label on it, just on the corner, so you know it's real. Um, we talked about like our top games at one point, so I might have said this was on my top games or top SNES games at one point, but also like I don't know, people grow up. We've done this for 3 years, um, and I've always given this game crap for certain things. So anyway, without further ado, I'm just gonna blatantly say it here. I have Super Metroid in my hands here.
Oh,
Um, Super Metroid, Samus is too big. Samus's sprite is way too big. That is my main problem with this game. Um, if Samus was smaller, the game would be a lot more enjoyable. But there's just a lot of stupidness to it. There's a lot of you're too big to do certain things. I feel like the game's too stretched out, in my opinion. Even playing it 4x3, um, I don't really enjoy this game. I enjoy Zero Mission because Metroid, because Samus is smaller.
that's
And then I also enjoy Fusion. Fusion is my favorite Metroid game.
ballsy.
It takes the stuff from this game from Super Metroid, just does it a ton better, and also incorporates some stuff from like the Zero Mission remake of the original, and just makes it overall better. And it's a mobile, it's a smaller game, so like the sprite is smaller, all this other stuff. But yeah, I just don't really enjoy Super Metroid at all. I never really understood it. The first Metroid game I played was Metroid Prime. And even then, I didn't really understand that either, because I was too young to really play those types of games, I feel. I just wasn't really. I just knew, like, from magazines and whatever, from commercials, like, oh, this is the new thing that everyone wants. I should be getting this too. And so I asked for that for Christmas or whatever, and I get it. And I play it, and then I play it for a bit, and it's like dark and stuff, and um
Dark.
I just didn't really enjoy it a whole lot. I looking back now, like I enjoy Prime a little bit more. I enjoy Prime 2 Echoes a lot more because there's more to do. There's more there's like a villain that's chasing you. And I think that's why I enjoy Fusion, because like there's a lot of urgency in that game. Same with like Dread, like Metroid Dread. There's a lot of urgency in that game because there's all those robot things coming after you, and all of that. So like I enjoy those types of games there, but just Super Metroid, there's something about it. It's a slow game. Um, I don't enjoy it. I understand what it did for the series. Understand what it did for Metroidvanias, um, that terminology and all of that, but I don't think it's really a good game.
That was the second Super Nintendo game that I've ever finished. Like legitimately, like Super Mario World was one of them, and
Mm.
then there's that. I don't think you're gonna get hate for it because you know what? Like I remember when I got Metroid Dread, and I was like, oh gosh, I'm so excited. I'm gonna play this. I'm gonna play this, and I sold it. And Alex is like, "What are you doing?" I said, "I just don't like it." So I own it again. I don't think I've ever booted it, but I'm planning on it.
Hmm.
And so I get it. I totally get it. Now, you're gonna laugh. So my last one's an NES game. I'm gonna hold it up like you did.
Is it Metroid?
No. So this game, uh, I got this. So I wanted to play games with my older brothers and my parents. And so I rented this game all the time, and this game was just a total turd.
Double Dare. Oh,
No, it is Winter Games on NES.
okay.
Have you not? Okay, so first off, there's four events, three or
Hmm.
four. Uh, one of them's like the 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 ski jump. There's there's ski jump. There's figure skating, and then there is bobsled.
Yeah.
And here's the thing: it's like you can do all these events, and then it's over.
Hmm.
Once you get any of the medals, the game's over.
Hmm.
But figure skating is the worst because you would fall every 5 seconds. There's no clear way how to do it. The controls are awful. There's nothing that tells you how to do it. So when this came out, you have to understand like there was a book and that's it. So
Hmm.
other than the book, there's no way of telling how this game works. So many lost weekends. I'm gonna get this and play this with my family, and then nobody number one wanted to play.
I know that feeling.
Yeah, and then you get it, and you're like, "Oh my god, this game is not good at all." The bobsledding is cool,
Hmm.
but the figure skating is rough, and you keep falling, and it goes forever.
Hmm.
But yeah, that game is just awful, just a giant pile of turd. And if you don't believe me, Angry Video Game Nerd did a video on that where he set it on fire. Set it on fire.
All right.
That game was just awful. Just a bad. I just keep thinking my weekends lost because I would get like one rental a weekend, right?
Yeah, I know that
That was
feel.
yeah. So well, um, that has been a very interesting show. I was not expecting Alex's last one, but I get it. The more I think about it, the more I'm starting to think, okay, that does make a lot of sense. It's not like you were just like the game planning is bad or whatever. It does make sense. So I
Hmm.
get it. And if you're listening now, we are a bi-weekly podcast. We do a fun, regular one about your news stories, whether it be video game, anime, movies, every other week. And we're on all major platforms. The audio version comes out on Wednesday. The video version on YouTube comes out on Fridays.
Hmm.
You can reach us at Facebook or Twitter. Um,
Maybe we'll
and
see. We'll see. This is pre-recorded. We might not be on Twitter, depending
oh,
on certain things from certain Musk people.
yes, uh, we also uh, we're got some more things planned here. This is our holiday episode. This is pre-recorded, so Alex and I can take a much needed break. Uh, yeah, was there anything you had to say, Alex?
Actually, yes, I do. So looking at the schedule here, because I'm looking at to see like what episodes are coming out in certain orders. Next episode is very fun. We already pre-recorded that one as well. We have a special guest, so definitely stay tuned for next week's episode because it is a very enjoyable one, and you will regret if you miss it.
It was a really fun one, and the special guest is we love having guests on the show, but this one was like really awesome.
Yeah.
Like I was actually pretty stoked when Alex told me we got this scheduled. So definitely check that out. Um, during the holidays, these episodes will be every single week, but once we get back from break, it goes to every other week. So
Yep. So.
awesome. Was there anything else, Alex?
Nothing much except get at it. Happy holidays.
Get at it. Happy holidays.